Act 2, Scene 3.
The summer dragged on. It's a wonder that we all didn't quit and go home. What inspired most of us was that we knew we were deciding the future of our country.
I sometimes worry that the people won't like certain provisions of this Constitution. Does that concern you?
Yes, it does concern me. We have to appease the people in order to get them to believe in this Constitution.
I have had enough. Will the people like this, or will the people like that? Our job is to create the best government possible, without regards to pleasing certain factions of American society. If we create a solid, working government, then the people will approve and get behind it.
It's now or never. We must preserve and continue on with the project at hand.
I think blah, blah, blah.
I need to leave. I can't stand this talking anymore.
You can't. You heard Washington. We need to press on.
I will stay for Washington's sake and for the sake of our country. But by my goodness, putting up with this is a real sacrifice.
I hear you.
The next question we will discuss is whether or not the state should be represented in Congress according to the population of each state. I open the floor to debate.
Of course, states such as Virginia with large populations should have more representation than small states.
That's not fair to the small states. The large states will gang up on us and prevent us from having any power.
Friends, this is not so. There is no evidence to believe that the larger states would ally themselves. If anything, there are rivals.
I am not convinced.
There's too much tension in this room. To help, I believe it would be better to cut the tension if we started each session with a prayer.
Who will pay for a minister? We can't afford that.
Rumors will start that the convention is in real trouble if the people see a minister being summoned to the hall.
It was resolved that no minister would be called, and the states went back to discussing the representation of the states in Congress. George Washington put a vote to the floor which called for each state to be represented equally, regardless of population in the Senate.
Those for equal representation in the Senate say aye.
Aye.
I count 5 ayes. Madison, please record the vote. Those opposed to the equal representation in the Senate say nay.
Nay.
Madison, record 5 nays. A tie vote with George's vote split down the middle. I think I speak for the small states when I say that we are outraged that our power is being depleted. I suggest that the small states break off and make our own treaties with foreign nations. Yay.
Yay. Nay. Oh. This convention is held together by no more than the strength of a hair.
I have almost despaired of the task of writing this Constitution. In the last week we have made so little progress.
I am not sure what happened, but the week of July 14th, both the heat wave and the stalemate over representation broke.
A great compromise has been reached. Every state will have 2 members in the Senate, and the House of Representatives will have 1 representative for every 40,000 inhabitants.
Hooray!
Now the question of dealing with the trouble between northern and southern states who had differences of opinion over the expansion of slavery and of taxation.
Since the North is more populated, won't it have more power than the South? And what about taxation on goods sent from the South to Europe, such as tobacco, rice, and indigo? Won't the North try to increase those taxes on Southern farmers?
What about slaves brought into the South?
Yes, what about slaves? Do they count towards total population?
We should get rid of slavery altogether.
Hear, hear.
Virginia will belong to a government that dictates about private business ventures. This is a violation of state sovereignty.
If we want a constitution, we will have to strike some kind of bargain. Any ideas?
A bargain was reached by which the northern states agreed to continue the slave trade until 1808, while the southern states agreed to give up their demand that commercial regulations had to be passed by 2/3 vote of both houses. It was also decided that a slave would count as 3/5 of a person towards representation in Congress. Three-fifths compromise meant that slave populations would count towards congressional representation in the House, but not so much as to overtake the northern states. Although progress was made, the debate and decision continued.
Can anyone be a congressman? There are many people just arriving on these shores. Are they fit to represent those of us who have been here longer? I say if it takes 7 years to learn how to be a shoemaker, a foreigner ought to spend 14 years to learn how to become an American legislator.
In the end, it was decided that a senator was required to be a citizen for 9 years, a representative for 7 years, and the chief executive or president had to be native born.
It is agreed also that states seeking to enter the Union will follow specific provisions for such.
Aye,
Got it.
Changes can be made to this Constitution as future demands require. These changes will be referred to as the amendments, and under no circumstances may there be any changes that will alter the type of government created by this convention.
The ability to amend the Constitution will make the document flexible and responsive to the needs of citizens of the future, but not allowing the structure of government to be altered. It guaranteed that government would be in the hands of people.
Now that this document is drafted, how do we get the states to approve or ratify it? What about allowing the state legislators to vote on it?
I don't think this is a good idea. The states will want to keep power in their own hands and will vote no. I promise holding state conventions in which citizens will have more say in approving the Constitution.
That's not a bad idea.
aye.
Then it is decided, each state will hold a ratification convention and discuss and vote on the Constitution. It will take 9 states to ratify or agree to this Constitution to make it the law of the land.
Once the details were finalized, the document was sent to be revised and copied out neatly. It was presented to Congress 4 days later and began with the statement, "We the people."
This is little short of a miracle.
There were still issues to be resolved, such as the addition of a Bill of Rights. I don't think it's necessary, but many of the delegates believe that the rights of individuals must be protected from government interference. But at least a governing document has been drafted and put to the states for ratification. I wonder what will happen at the state convention.
Hooray.
Hooray!